round number 4 starts now.
Whereas you can't sit on Void Gate and feel safe because they'll obviously do 4. So it can be some big swings there, some interesting stuff. And we see a quick start here and straight in with the Sentry.
Yeah, getting things started. Let me go ahead and fill in the battlefields for these players. You really think, I mean, it's hard to tell when it's a Kaiser mirror match whose battlefields is for who, because they're both going to be benefiting from both of these battlefields, of course. But starting off fast, both of these players know exactly what they want to get done early game. Watchful into the Void Gate, not too worried about a Hextech Raid, because if you do, doesn't really matter too much. So it's going to be going up at least 1 point for Riftbound number 1 Kaiser. We'll call him, I mean, our Kaiser.
No, I think it's a great move. I think, like you say, with the Void Gate, you don't really care if they kill your Sentry, so you might as well just take the point and be able to be happy with it. Yeah, I think this mirror match is interesting. I actually playtested it with my study group the other day, and what we found was game 2, we sideboarded in things like Sprite Mother and other cards that gave you a bit more high tempo. So you can go one of 2 ways. You can either get greedier and maybe move in some Time Warps or an extra copy of Watcher, or you can try and go under them, as we say, which basically means get more aggressive and see if you can out-tempo them that way. So there's a lot of interesting things there. I think this is a very sensible move, moving the Poro in, because that's another unit you don't really ever want to burn a spell on because it has that deflect cost. So it always feels bad to have to use something like a Hextech Ray or a Falling Star on the Pouty Poro, just because you do lose that extra rune. It can set you quite far back in tempo.
Yeah, especially being on the play, you're already behind a single rune, so doesn't want to get rid of the Pouty Poro. Gonna be able to play out the Champion Kaiser just to be able to move it for the follow-up turn. Throwing it back over to Doctor. And let's see what he has for turn number 3.
Yeah, it's an interesting one. I wonder why you don't just pay 5 and recycle the Kaiser there, and accelerate the Kaiser, because once you get onto Reavers, you're generally quite safe. I mean, you're weak to things like Void Seeker, potentially, but you were in a position to guarantee that hold, which I imagine we're going to see. Are we going to see something similar here?
Seems like it.
We are. This time we do get the accelerated Kaiser comes in, they'll go to 2, and they get to draw the card. So a bit surprising, because if Joni had done that with his Kaiser, then they could have just drawn a card and gotten the extra point, and then as soon as they try and respond with that, you just pull your Kaiser back. So a bit interesting. Certainly not something you see every time, but I think here we are, pay 3, tap Kaiser, play the Void Seeker, and that will say goodbye to the Kaiser. I think in this matchup you have to accept the Kaiser's not going to be too long for this world.
Oh, nice.
Interesting, the retreat. I like that a lot in this scenario. I think if you can protect it, it's a really useful card. You get to channel the rune as well, so it's sort of pseudo ramp, which is always nice to have. And then Johnny will respond by moving the Kaiser in. Still got 4 runes available. Could play something else here. We are going to tap 2 for the Hopeful. This is such a great card. I think I was watching a video of discussing some of the best commons, and I think this is definitely going to be up there when the set releases. Such an impactful card.
Oh, these guys just going back and forth. Void Seeker to take down the Kaiser. And playing almost an exact mirror match, huh? Retreat on the Kaiser as well. So having it in hand now.
Yeah.
Riftbound number 1 able to still use it, can still pay 4, recycle 1 Fury to just go ahead into the Reaver's Row, draw 1. Seems like a decent turn because you're able to protect it. Instead goes for 2, perhaps playing all 5, and then recycle. Oh, okay.
No,
thinking about it.
Sprite Mother. Oh, Poro, interesting. Okay, Poro and Sentry, interesting. I agree. I think once you've seen one Void Seeker get played, you're quite happy to then just go in with it again, because even if they move the Hopeful in, you can just retreat and you're still okay. So I'm a little bit interested by that play. I feel like you could have just taken a free point there, and then if you force another Void Seeker, they've used 2 to kill 1. So I think it's interesting, because the Hopeful goes in. Curious why they would go into Void Gate here, because like I mentioned earlier, all the key spells that usually are 3 damage, or 3 might, will then now hit the Hopeful. So that is a bit of an interesting one.
Oh, it looks like Johnny perhaps thinking about
he's thinking about something.
No, instead maybe going to be the Kaiser, the Darius. Goes with the Kaiser instead. Okay, does trigger with Accelerate though.
Yeah, so that explains why you put the Hopeful into Void Gate, because you're just going to bring the Kaiser back out, which I think makes a lot of sense. It's a good move. Goes to 4 points. You want to always be on those even break points if you can. Just because when you're playing to 8, it makes life a lot easier. If you're just always on the even break points, you can try and win from 6. And a lot of pressure here very early. This is going to take a big turn to come back from, to be able to really establish some board presence. Because the thing with Reaver's Row is you can't fight the Kai'Sa. So even if you have sort of like a Darius Cleave combo or something along those lines, there's not a lot you can do with it, because obviously they can just use the Reaver's Row ability to pull it back and get it ready for next turn. So will certainly be interesting if we've got any answers here coming out of Riftbound number 1.
Yeah, you're so right. The only way to really effectively get rid of it will be something like we saw earlier with that Void Seeker, but it goes for 2 and 1. Okay, Falling Stars, but you don't have exactly enough to take down 2 of these units. You have to decide whether you want to double up, whether on the Kai'Sa, the trickier to deal with unit, or do you want to at least take care? No. Okay, I think he's just going to trade both. Or no, decides to go
I think that's
2.
a good. It's not a bad move, because you take out the hope for on Void Gate, and the Kai'Sa's on 1 life. But obviously you have the issue that, again, with it being Reaver's Row, you can't move this. If it wasn't Reaver's Row, you could just move the Sentry in and trade. But we will see another one. A Stupefy.
That makes sense. That's one way to deal with Kai'Sa. So now you're able to
I
conquer
assume they might have
both.
said they took that back and did it in a different order, because the Stupefy wouldn't kill the Kai'Sa on 1 life. But if he played the Stupefy before the Falling Star, I assume that's what he was intending to do.
I think it still works that way, right? Because it would bring it down to the kill range. I thought that's how it worked.
Potentially. Okay, yeah, potentially it does. Yeah, interesting. Give a unit -1. Yeah, potentially. No, anyway, it works out well. Gets the trade.
Because I've seen like
so
smoke screen plays, like when someone like Void Seeker something, and then you smoke screen them and they get into that death range, they still die. So I'm assuming Stupefy still works the same way.
Okay, cool. Yeah, I think it's just one of those nuanced things with Riftbound. With it being only one total might, it's there's no attack or defense or health in this game. It's all just around the one might number. It causes some interesting ones. I think some tokens will be very useful when the game actually comes out. I know the China regionals had a huge selection of various tokens for the different things that can happen, but we'll certainly be interested to see. And we see now the Pyro goes into Reaver's Row. We'll put Riftbound number 1 up to 3, assuming this goes through, and there's no answer from Joni.
Seems like he's thinking about it, so perhaps there is going to be an answer. We saw the Hex Day come out, but there is not. Doesn't want to pay any extra deflect costs as we saw before, so just going to be conquering there, going up to 3. Has plenty of rooms to work with. Goes 5. Perhaps a Darius, or is it another Kai'Sa? Because did they end up playing the Kai'Sa that they retreated a previous turn? And I think that's the Kai'Sa we saw before.
Yeah, so we've got the Kai'Sa back, because most Kai'Sa decks nowadays only run 1 copy of the Legend. So with all the retreats going back to hands, they're managing to keep them alive, but they're still going. So I think it's in a good position. It's just a lot of swings and roundabouts in the mirror matches. It's just with all the spell removal, the tempo can keep flicking back and forth. We see Joni now sitting quite comfortably on 11 runes. He's only got 1 unit on board, but he can go to 5 points if he wants to conquer the Void Gate. And then we'll be interested to see what he has up his sleeve. Whether we haven't seen any Dariuses be played yet, or
I'm surprised about
something
that,
on the Watchers. We see we're tapping 2 and tapping Kai'Sa. We're going to see another Falling Star come out here.
Seems like it. Perhaps targeting that Raven Bloom. There's only 1 single rune up, and Kai'Sa doesn't really have anything except things like Retreat. But Falling Star on the Pouty Poro never feels good. You're going to have to recycle an additional rune. So there goes that recycle. Does target the 2 lower cost than 3 units. But now leaving the Kai'Sa able to do something on Reaver's Row the following turn. But sends the Sentry to Void Gate. Not too bad. Going to be going up to 5 total points. Do you have something like a Darius perhaps to make use of being your second card deployed this turn, going into the Reaver's Row, and you're still protected? You're out of the range of things like Void Seeker. You're going to have to force your opponent to do like a Falling Star, and there it is. So it does come in ready.
There we go. Very nice.
Get the +7 doesn't make any difference, but you do get to kind of keep it protected with that Reaver Row ability. So I like this play. Pretty optimal from Joni.
Now it's a really good turn. I think, like you say, you feel bad paying the extra deflect cost for the Pyro, but I think when you're on 11 runes, you don't mind it as much. It's mainly if you have to do it on sort of turn 2, turn 3, that can set you very far behind. But when you get up to sort of the 10-11 range, you're pretty comfortable doing that. Like you said, this is a huge tempo swing. We're on the key 6-point mark. They'll still have enough runes if you do manage to somehow kill the Darius and the Sentry. They've got the Yordle in base, and they could potentially play a Watcher next turn, which would most likely end the game. So I think Joni's in a really good spot here. Let's see if we can have a big turn, because I think the key will be if he can retreat this Darius and just, have it in base, there's no real concern. But I think we are going to see a Watcher come out from Riftbound #1 here, which I think was probably very needed. But let's see what this spell is from here. Oh, that's a big falling star, because that will kill both the Darius and the Yordle. So the pendulum swings back in favor of Riftbound #1 potentially here.
Yeah, which tends to do in these kinds of mirror matches, very back and forth. And I love these sequencing, of course, bringing out the Watcher first, lowering everyone's might down to the needed range of falling stars, being able to take them down. So well done. And both these units benefit from going on the board. You're not too worried about anything going down. Joni with just a single rune available, like we said before, something like a retreat. You may have to worry about the Hextech Ray on the Void Gate, so this is proper play. You want to send your 7 might unit out of the range of the Hex Ray, so well done. I think he's playing really, really well, showing why he is indeed 3-0 currently.
Yes, I think you saw the double take there. He picked up the Kaiser, started moving it, saw the 1 rune available, and thought, if I walk into a Hextech Ray here, I mean, it kills a lot of my momentum. So even though you don't necessarily love having the Watcher on Void Gate, it'll be slightly easier to get through, I think it's still certainly the correct way to play. Just minimize the risk if they do have the answer. But yeah, in a really good spot here now. Up to 5 points himself. A little bit awkward not being on those even point tempos like I mentioned earlier. But still, got a very good opportunity here. A lot of things to answer for. Joni's got his 10 runes up. Big fan of Joni, the way he's organized his runes. This is a first. You don't always see people spend too much time doing this, but it's a very satisfying thing to look at. So big props to him.
For sure, keeping everything nice and organized, able to think his plays out very effectively. So I like this. It looks like it might be a Watcher, but no. What is this? A Cathian Rain. We're gonna be doing +2. No, sorry, not +2, but 2 damage, 6 times. So 12 total damage on all these units. Should be more than enough, because 8 + 4 is 12.
It's 11. Yeah, so he's going plus each instance will actually deal 3, given the Void Gate, which is probably interesting. That's probably why he's running Void Gate, and he main decks a Cathian Rain, because I know certainly the list that I ran last week, I sideboarded it. I didn't main deck it, but obviously it makes sense with Void Gate, because if you can sit there and do 3 instead of 2, 6 times, you're increasing the card's effectiveness by 150% basically.
Yeah, that's so strong.
So really cool turn there to bring that back and reply to what Riftbound #1 had the turn prior.
Yeah, we're seeing over and over again exactly what Kaiser does best. She's so good at attacking and clearing boards, not so much at defending, right? Because both these players have not yet gained a point, or maybe they gained 1 or so from holding, but they're mainly gaining the majority of the points from conquering, as we see Riftbound #1 do on Reaver's Row, going up to 6, I believe, tying things up. So both of these players in that sweet spot, nice even number, just 2 more points away. Of course, Joni slightly ahead since they have 2 battlefields open. Something like a double Darius, is that doable? Is that a little bit too lucky for him to have both of those cards in hand? Actually, no, they would both trigger, but then you have to think about...
it works.
Void Seeker, no, I don't think double Darius might get there.
That would be GG. I think Watcher would be enough here as well, if I'm correct, because you just play Watcher, move into Reavers. I mean, Riftbound #1's got 3 runes up. There's not enough to answer Reaver anything there, but you can certainly move in with the Hopeful and take over Void Gate. That's step 1, but potentially you could walk into a trap there if you move in and then suddenly they play a Void Seeker. They have got 3 runes available, so it'll be interesting to see if we see a response here. But if this goes through, this could get quite dicey. So he is going to pull the Kaiser back.
Yeah, pulls it
and
back.
Then he will react to the movement with a Void Seeker. Very well played. Yeah, really nice there. Just to hold that battlefield. So it looks like Joni probably isn't going to be able to win this turn. He's just going to have to try and establish something. But unless we can get something on the board... Okay, we've got a Falling Star, the Kaiser twice. That makes sense. But it looks like Riftbound #1 is just going to need any sort of Accelerate, and that will be game, because he can take over 1 battlefield with the Watchful Sentry and potentially another one, depending on what Joni has in his hand as an answer. But he's only got 2 cards.
Yeah, I was just about to mention that as well. There are 2 cards. I mean, we saw Riftbound #1 use things like Void Seeker to neglect him from scoring those points, so probably has something along those lines as well. Sends the Sentry to Reaver's Row. It looks like might be a simple Hextech Ray.
Nice, yep. Definitely should be doing that. Can't be letting Kaiser get to 7. But now it is looking a bit... I mean, it will come down kind of to the top decks in many ways, because Yeah, Johnny doesn't have a lot of cards in his hand. He could draw something like a Electric Yordle potentially for some card draw, which would help. But yeah, a little bit, his back feels against the wall here a little bit. I think not being able to get that Conquer through with the Noxus Hopeful really hurts, because that would have just put him in a much smoother position going into this turn. But he was good that he had the answer with the Falling Star to be at least able to keep the game alive.
Right. Without that, it would have been indeed over. But man, it's interesting to see the discrepancy in the cards that they have in hand, right? Both of these players are playing the same legend, but Riftbound number 1 able to have so much more advantage recycling and using, what was it? It was a Stupefy, Void Seekers 2 times. Yeah, it looks like Johnny wasn't able to get the card draw that we're usually used to seeing from these Kaiser players. Will that make a difference, or does Johnny just need a single card left? That's 5. That's 6. Okay, he's gonna play out a couple units, so 2 Noxious
Wow, interesting.
Hopefuls.
Just biting the bullet, paying 4 for the Hopeful. That's certainly interesting. I think we will have enough for Time Warp if Johnny happens to have it. We just move the Sentry in, Conquer, play Time Warp. That would be game.
That could be. Was that the final card in hand? It may very well be.
Ooh. He doesn't get to draw yet. He only goes to 7, assuming this goes through. But interesting. But yeah, I think just to comment on your point, it's the thing with Kaiser, especially playing it, you really feel like there are some games where you just every card that you play draws you another card, and we do see the Hextech Ray come out to stop the potential Time Warp finisher. But yeah, if you look at cards like you mentioned, Void Seeker, Electric Yordle, Watchful Sentry, there's so many cards that will replace themselves in your hand, which is great. But then there are some that don't. Obviously, Falling Star doesn't do that, Hextech Ray doesn't do that. So we've seen a decent chunk of that, and you see now the Watcher comes down, so that Hextech Ray was absolutely pivotal in keeping the Riftbound number 1 in the game. And there we go. That will be game. It's the classic Time Warp finisher. Just needed 1 unit in base, and that will be game 1 going to Riftbound number 1. You can't build up trash quick enough, and that seemed to be a really clever combo. But interesting, he's just playing a greedy list, obviously, with the Obelisk. He must be playing Time Warps and Watchers. So yeah, very good stuff. A lot of pressure on here as well. We seem to have a random extra rune here for some reason.
He's on the play, right? Oh no, Obelisk.
Oh, Obelisk.
Of course.
Sorry.
That's exactly what we're doing.
Yeah, of course. So yeah, Riftbound number 1 is going to start with 4 here. So it'll be interesting to see what he can play. Are we going to see a Sprite Mother? No.
Oh,
2
double
Poros.
Poro.
Wow. Well, this is awkward because if Johnny wants to deal with this with Falling Star, he'd be paying about 6,000 runes. So I think he probably would choose to avoid that. But he'll score nicely. He'll score 1 with the Poro here. And then we could potentially see something like a Kaiser come down. It is the 5 rune turn, but instead we'll just see another 2 drop. And is this going to be a Hopeful as well? That's a really good turn. You're in a really comfortable spot here.
More of it out of a turn too. That 1-2 punch, I'd love to see it.
Exactly.
Something to keep in
you've got
mind.
6 might down.
I believe Johnny was on the play game 1, wasn't he? Because I remember he had the 2 runes. Well, we might have to look back, but if memory serves me right, I think he might have been on the play, which is something to note because Kaiser tends to do her best on the play. She's on the play again now, so let's see how it ends up going out. So Falling Star, as you mentioned, you never want to use it on the deflected unit, but it has to do what you have to do.
I think it's worth it in this scenario because the benefit of it is you now score 2 with both Poros. You've got some very sticky units to deal that Johnny's going to have to respond with. And it does kill the tempo. I think that's whenever you can go 2 for 1 on Falling Star, you feel very good about it. That's why it's been wildly discussed as one of the best cards in the set. I think for good reason. I think Falling Star is going to be an absolute menace. And you see here, he even responds with the Void Seeker and draws the card as well. So really sticky situation. Has only got 3 runes, so he's paid a lot for this tempo play. So if Johnny can come up with it. Yeah, if Johnny can come up with an answer here, I think this is where one of the positions you probably would be potentially willing to pay the Falling Star deflect costs in this scenario because it makes a big difference. But instead, we'll bring out the Kaiser deflected. That makes a lot of sense. And take her in there, score a point, draw a card.
Nice. Yeah, sweet plays from both of these players coming in. It looks like not getting too much done this turn, but did as much as you could But man, now only 5 runes to work with, but these guys are not too far away on that rune total, so it doesn't really come at the biggest cause. Gets that hold point. I didn't get to count it there from that Pouty Portal, so going up to 3, but doesn't have the ability to play something out like a Darius. And then an additional cost, because there's all 5, you do have something like a Kaiser, but doesn't choose to pay the additional cost with Accelerate. Just going to be preparing for that next turn, passing it over to Joni. Let's see what he's gonna do. And I love it, like Ollie, like you said, he loves to separate Fury on top, Calm or Mine at the bottom, keeping things nice and organized in his brain. Do you think he's running a perfect 6-6 rune split? It almost seems that way.
I assume he would be. I think that pretty sure that's what I run. You got a nice balance. All of your top end is blue, with the Watcher and the Time Warp, and then all of your early game and spells are all Fury. So I think it's probably, I imagine it most likely is a 6-6 split. I think we saw him get up to, we never saw him get to the full 12. We saw him get to 11 last game. So potentially it could be 7-5, but from what I've seen, I think we're looking at a 6-6 split, hence the organizational. But it's very satisfying. I think that'll be a big thing. I'm sure when the game actually comes out, everyone will have a different way of organizing their runes when they play in person at their local LGSs. So certainly be interested to see what people get up to when it comes to different styles.
And it looks like it's time for the Watcher, bringing that Darius down to 2 might. So 4 definitely enough on the Dreaming Tree. So conquering up to 4, still has the Portal to go into the Obelisk, and that's what he elects to do. So going up to 5, Dr. Rick. I keep calling Dr. Rick because I know his real name, but Riftbound number 1 inching closer to close things out. But now a big or not too big, but enough of a base to make a dent in this game. Let's see what he decides to do. It's a Watcher of his own.
We're going back for, we're going beat for beat here with the Watchers. I think it's a really nice idea. You don't need to accelerate these. You don't really gain much for accelerating them. You can just go in, he'll conquer 2, he'll go to 6. I think obviously you're going to lose the Kaiser next turn probably to the Watcher, but I think you don't mind that too much, because getting to that 6 threshold is very important. If there is by any chance another Watcher in hand, or a combo that I used once to win a game was had a Watcher on board, moved in, conquered a battlefield with it, then retreated it, played it again, and then used the ability obviously to conquer. So
wait,
some big swings happening here.
Because isn't that 14 runes?
Yeah, but I was in this scenario, so I had my Watcher on the board.
Oh, okay.
So I started my turn, readied it, conquered like battlefield, then retreated it, played it again, conquered the other, and won the game. So I think there's a lot you can do here. But interesting, we get the accelerated Kaiser comes down, uses the Hex Set Raid to conquer, so we'll go to 6, and then I assume we'll take the Watcher. I mean, with Joni being fully tapped out, it seems pretty obvious just to move the Watcher in here and kill the Kaiser, and then pressure is back on Joni here because he needs to deal with this Watcher and B, the Kaiser. If there is a second Watcher in Joni's hand, we are potentially primed for a game 3. If not, it will be interesting. But even something like Darius and Cleave gets you to 10. You're probably okay to do that, but let's see if he's got the answers.
Yeah, as well, something like a Kaiser and a Cleave, or Kaiser just to trade evenly on the Dreaming Tree. You have the other Watcher, so I think Kaiser's going down, and is he conceding because he's at 6?
Immediate scoop. Yeah, fantastic.
I think this is a good decision from Riftbound number 1, because he saved it for game 3 when he's on the play now. So that's when Kaiser's going to be the most aggressive possible, and making matters worse, going to be starting with a single point. So every conqueror just has to get up to 7 total points to close it out. I think this is going to definitely benefit Riftbound number 1, but of course, Kaiser on Joni's side has been playing excellent as well. So this is going to be another tight game, starting things off pretty standard. So Sentry and Yordle get things started. Let's see where he decides to send it, because you oftentimes want to trade the Sentry. So I think he's thinking about it. I was going to say because he wants the draw, so might as well send it over to Arena's Greatest, and that he does. So not too bad.
Yeah, I think that's a good move. I think, like you say, it's very clever to do it on play, because if you notice with Joni was on play last game with the Obelisk, and the Kaisek works really nicely on the even rune count. So you saw on his 5 rune play that he just played a Raven Bloom Student and a Noxus Hopeful, didn't utilize all 5, whereas if you're on play, you can really go 2, 4, 6 really, really nicely, and obviously the top end Watcher is 8, and then you've got Time Warp at 10, so it makes a lot of sense. Save it for game 3. You're going first. I imagine if Riftbound number 1 had maybe lost game 1 and was starting game 2, he's on play, he probably would have used Arena's Greatest there. But I think it's a really good move. Interesting to burn the Void Seeker. I think, obviously, with Arena's Greatest, you are on a clock. You know, the game is going to be shorter, but I am surprised, given there are so many good targets. Like, you look at the Noxus Hopeful, or two Noxus Hopefuls, or Kai'Sa. It does seem that seemed a bit overkill to burn a Void Seeker on just a Yordle. That is an interesting play.
Yeah, a little overkill.
I wonder if we see... I wonder if we see an accelerated Kai'Sa here into Reaver's Row, potentially. Because, I mean, the only thing you're really scared of there is a Void Seeker on the other end. He is going to pay 6 and just play... 2 sentries and a Poro. So he's going to be quite weak here on board strength, because I assume, especially with it being Arena's Greatest, Joni is just going to conquer both here pretty comfortably. Riftbound number 1 fully tapped out, so there's not a lot of responses from his end.
You're so right. I almost like that Kai'Sa play better, just to even see one more card, and at least you're kind of holding strong with 4 might. But what can he do? I mean, he has 3 total units, but they're just so low to the ground. Even with the cleave, you only go up to 4 might. That's not even enough to get over one of these Noxious Hopefuls. So I'm wondering what he has in mind now, because even things like Watcher here don't capitalize too much on having those units, right?
No, it does, because everything goes to 1. So yeah, True. I think that makes a lot of sense, actually. So yeah, you now can just trade in both sentries. Obviously, I imagine he'll retreat this Hopeful, and then the other one can just trade and draw you a card. So actually, not that bad. Obviously, it was strange to sacrifice a turn, but this is a great second turn you've got here. You can then, will we move the power in? We will move the power in. That makes sense. And what will we do with the Watcher? I kind of assume we might do something similar to last game. Keep it in base. If there's double Watcher, that's great. This forces Joni to answer. But Joni's still in a good spot. I mean, he's on 3 points. He's got 2 strong units on board that he can use. So we see the Noxus Hopeful go in first into Reaver's Row. Will Riftbound number 1 accept the card, or will he? He will. He'll let it die. Yeah, I think you don't really want to be saving your Watchful Sentry there. It doesn't do a lot for you.
Yeah, these guys are just going back and forth. You conquered 2 battlefields. I conquered 2 battlefields. So both of these players going up to 5 points already. Just 3 more left. It looks like a falling star potentially getting deployed. Doubling up
amazing.
on the Watcher, though. That's only going to be... because wait, how did he bring it down?
Stupefied. He played Stupefy first. So yeah, it was Stupefy into double Falling Star, which is great. What he could do here, which he has noticed, is he played the second card in the Falling Star, readies the Darius. He can then pull the Darius back, so he's got a huge base now for next turn. Really, really strong spot here. And then if Riftbound number 1 has any accelerated answers, they can just Reaver's Row, bring the Hopeful back, and still have 13, 14 might in base coming into next turn. So really, really good spot here, it looks like, for Joni to potentially get that win.
It looks like the card advantage is favoring Riftbound number 1, but the board advantage heavily favored on Joni's side. And I think that's what really counts, when you always have to think about what are you able to do the following turns. Those are the units on the board. So I am favoring Joni ever so slightly in this matchup, despite Riftbound number 1 being on the play, having that Arena's Greatest. Of course, that +1 goes to both of these players, so Kai'Sa on Joni's side also benefited. So things are looking good. I'm wondering what he's going to do now. We saw Watcher already played out for Riftbound number 1 before. He could obviously play out another one here, but only going to be enough to conquer 1. And I am terrified staring down a Noxious Hopeful, Kai'Sa, and Darius. A total of, what is that, 8 plus 5, going up to 13 total might.
13, yeah.
That's
I know.
a lot
And you've got to assume Darius realistically will always go up to at least a 7 for the next turn. So yeah, this looks like a pretty dicey position for Riftbound number 1, because like the Reaver's Row is so powerful. If he does accelerate anything, they'll just retreat the Hopeful, take it back to base, and then next turn they're going to conquer both with this much might. We haven't seen any cleaves come out yet. That would obviously put Darius up to a 10 potentially as a swing. So it looks like Joni's certainly in a very, very good place. I think they're just going over how he was able to move. I don't know where the extra...
I think the hold. He held for Noxious, right?
Yes. No, you're correct. Yeah, I think you're right. He did hold that turn,
Yeah, he held, and now he's thinking about conquering up to 7, making things so much closer. Just one more hold, and Joni's going to be closing out game 3 despite him being on hold. But wait a minute, they're talking about something.
I think it's still Riftbound number one's turn. I think they just missed a
that's
point.
what it is.
I think,
oh, he didn't pass. Yeah, what is he doing? Okay.
No, yeah, he didn't pass. So they've still got a little internal debate going on, but interesting to see what the discussion is
he's
here.
Still at 5 then. I thought he had passed. He's still at 5, right? Yeah.
Yeah, he's at 5 at the moment. We've got 5. Yeah, 5 for Joni and 4 for I think. Let's see what we do here. So we're tapping 4 at the moment, and then nope.
Reconsidering, thinking about perhaps that champion unit. He still has it. This unlike his other opponent, so could do something like an accelerated Kaiser. Go into Reaver's Row, saying, "Do you have a single retreat? Doesn't really matter. I get my draw regardless." Or does he want to set something up? Because what can he follow that up with? I don't think anything else can have accelerate because he can't play a Darius plus a Kaiser. He's a little shy on those runes. Maybe just try to develop the board the best you can, because Joni has already done so. And as we saw, once you pass, if you're not able to take care of this Noxious Hopeful, you're going to go up to 6. Darius or Kaiser can conquer. Arena's grade is up to 7, and then you're in quite the tough spot. You're forced to have to take care of both of these battlefields from your opponent, which is so much harder. If Joni's able to try to leave any runes up for things like Hextech Ray, something like a Void Seeker, that's going to make things very difficult for Riftbound number 1. So I could completely see why he's in that deep think tank right now. He's thinking, what can I possibly do here to make sure I just don't lose outright with Joni's follow-up turn. So this is difficult for Riftbound.
Yeah, this is interesting. A lot of thought going into this turn here. I think he knows this is absolutely pivotal, because if you don't make some impact on the board this turn, you're then looking at going to 7 for Joni, and then you're just one hold away. Especially with Reavers, he could always just retreat, and then that doesn't really help you much either. So I think, yeah, it seems to be in a pretty dicey spot. I don't think he would have teched in anything like a Cathian Rain that we saw help that Joni played in game 1, which is interesting. I don't know if he'll have that. Obviously, like we've discussed already with Reaver's Row Watch, it doesn't really help you at all. So it doesn't feel like there's a lot of great answers at this stage of the game. I think especially when you play your second card and get Darius up to a 7, it is so difficult to deal with him. So very interesting to see how this works.
Yeah, I mean, the best he can do at this moment is try to get off something like a Watcher just to conquer 1, but Reaver's Row, it never feels good to do so. Going for 3, that seems like a spell. So Void Seeker onto the
Void
Noxious.
Seeker, good start.
Yep, not too bad. That is a very good start.
At least clears something, which helps a bit. Obviously, they'll still be able to score both next turn and go to 7, so it doesn't help you massively. Important thing to note is they'll only be at 9 runes, so we're not in Time Warp territory yet. But we are seeing the full cost of the Falling Star being played. I imagine you'd target the Darius twice here. You can't kill both, so logically I think you'd go for the Darius here. Just because when he readies himself and gets the +2, he's so powerful when attacking. So I would be surprised if you target the Kaiser here.
Yeah, but me too. I'm assuming unless there was a second Falling Stars, which would be astronomically favorable for him. So I think he is going to be targeting a single unit, most likely that Darius. So he did tap it. Should be.
Oh, we are seeing a response. Are we seeing a retreat? No, a Stupefy.
Just a draw, it looks like.
Okay. I don't mind that. You've got 1 rune up. You might as well use it. Stupefy is not going to be hugely relevant, I think, in the rest of this game. So I don't mind that play. And then we just play our own student and pass. So not a bad turn for Riftbound number 1. He dealt with two of the 3 threats.
Right.
I think you've still got Kaiser here. They can go to 6, which helps massively. I assume they'd go on to Reavers, yeah, and draw their card just to keep them safe.
Yeah, I think Joni's doing very well. Unlike game 1 where he had 1-2 cards in hand, he's keeping up with the equivalent card draw as the opposing Kaiser. So both of these guys so neck and neck. But like I said before, I think Joni just slowly inching away. If he has an accelerated unit here, that still it's not going to win him the game, but still be pretty massive just to play out and protect one of these battlefields. Because as we said before, after that 7th point, you just need to hold 1. Ravenbloom is on the base for the opposing Kaiser, so perhaps able to get another spell off, kill that Kaiser with something. Did we see 3 Void Seekers yet, or just I think it was at least 2, right?
Yeah, I think we might have seen 2. I don't think we've seen all 3, but I think, yeah, I think you hit the good point there. If we could get something into base here for Joni, just set up a potential lethal next turn. You've got, you've hit the 6-point threshold, which is key. You can win in 1 turn from there, so it's just a matter of being able to set that up. I think, you're looking at Riftbound number 1. He's only on 4 points. You're not hugely concerned with him, coming out of nowhere. He's only going to have 8 runes as well, so I think you feel pretty good here if you can just get something in the base. Set up with, see, we're paying 7. This is gonna be, so we've got
Mega Mech. That is
Mega
spicy.
Mech. Here we go.
Just a
that
vanilla.
is interesting. I mean, it's very, very difficult to deal with. I think, when you're so early into a new game, there are, the card pool isn't massive. A 7/8 body can just sometimes be really, really difficult to deal with. I think we've seen that in some of the greedier Kaiser lists that we've got. We've got it with the ones that run the Acathian Rain and the high end. They will just play big units like Mega Mech. And then now, how on earth do you deal with this? Because if you go in and take it, you're not going to be able to hold against an 8 might unit. So it's very, very interesting to see what we play here. So I think we did just appearing need to top deck a Void Seeker, which helps. So that deals with one of the issues.
If they have something like a Darius, that will be the second card coming out, but has at least the Kaiser in the champion zone still, but goes with the Sprite Martyr, effectively almost the same. Still gets an accelerated unit, able to conquer both, so tying things up 6-6 for both of these players. But Mega Mech on that base, if there's a Watcher, Ollie, this might just be GG.
Yeah, I think you're looking for anything accelerated here. You've got Darius, you've got Watcher. I think if we can find one of those 2, this might be enough, because the Mega Mech can obviously move into whichever battlefield it likes. So it's going to choose to take on Arena's Greatest and go to 7. And then it's just a matter of, are we going to see a Time Warp potentially, or are we going to see something like a Watcher? It does look like we are prepping to play something. We're tap 2, tap Kaiser. Falling Star, so that wipes out the board. So yeah, still a very good turn to set this up, because this will obviously give you a free board. So I don't know how exactly Kaiser, unless they draw a Watch themselves, can actually deal with an 8 might unit. It's a lot of might to deal with from this Mega Mech.
Okay, plays the hopeful. I was thinking maybe they had just a simple champion Kaiser, played Accelerate just to get onto Reaver's Row, but goes with the Dangerous Duo, I believe he's called. Yeah, Dangerous Duo gives it +2 irrelevant for the moment.
Interesting.
But Mega Mech, I mean, I was gonna say maybe closes it out with a hole, but Watcher bringing it down to size, down to 5 total might.
Yeah.
Okay.
He has got 4 runes available. Are we seeing a response here? Taps 2, recycles blue. Oh, the smoke screen!
Huge.
And that should be all she wrote, because the Mega Mech goes down to 5. This will take the Watcher down to 3. And then there's 2 units in base that can respond next turn, even if he can deal with this, which looks like he probably can with a Hextech Ray or something along those lines. Yeah, so they will trade, but that's still GG, because he's got the Dangerous Duo and the Hopeful in base ready to go, and he's fully tapped. And there we go. Gives the point and concedes. So Riftbound number 1 loses his perfect streak, and Joni comes from behind after game 1 to give himself hope going into the final round of Swiss that he can make it.